Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Video. So this is a brand new series that we are debuting on the channel. It's a series that has been requested many times over by all of you wonderful people, and that is Yu-Gi-Oh! What If? And the What If series is basically going to be a video series where I give my own opinion and takes on what could have happened differently if Route B was chosen rather than the Route A that we got in the various anime. So I am a huge believer in the butterfly effect. What if hypotheticals like these have always fascinated me, and the butterfly effect basically states that one small occurrence can have a massive change on a much larger system. In layman's terms, if choice B happened instead of choice A, it would drastically alter whatever future choice A was. In this hypothetical, choice A was having Yugi and Marrick square off in the Battle City finals, but what if we went a different route with the semi-final matchups of Battle City? That's right, our first hypothetical we will be discussing is what if Yugi and Marrick both lost in the semis and Joey and Kaiba advanced to the finals. This is an extremely difficult what if to start, and the reason for that is this arc is truly wonderful. I love the Battle City arc, but I really wanted to challenge myself by trying to do a what if for something I loved rather than something I didn't love, because I'm sure that's where most of these videos will be focused. So let's find out if Joey versus Kaiba as our finals matchup could have worked. How would this have affected the show beyond Battle City? Would it have been better? Or did the right characters ultimately advance to the finals of the tournament? Let's begin. Well, for starters, we have to look at the endings of these two duels, starting with Yami Marrick versus Joey. We all know Joey was one attack call away from defeating Yami Marrick. Let's say in this scenario, the duel plays out exactly as it does in the original, but Joey ends up successfully calling his attack before collapsing. The attack goes through, and Joey has done the impossible. He has defeated Yami Marrick in a duel, but there's one problem. Yami Marrick is standing, and Joey is passed out. You could still have the Joey storyline play out the exact same way from that point forward, coma, and then returning at the end of the Yugi Kaiba duel. However, Yami Marrick is still standing, even in defeat. He has not been sent to the shadows, and was able to fight off death despite looking worse for wear. Now, I thought long about this because I didn't want to just make things sound crazy to make my hypotheticals work, but hear me out. If Joey was able to come back from a coma and was able to survive losing a Yami no game, there's no reason why Yami Marrick wouldn't be able to do the same. I mean, Yami Marrick naturally has more resistance to the punishments of a Darkness duel. The only reason he was vanquished was because of the moves that regular Marrick made at the end of his duel versus Yami Yugi. Therefore, him surviving a Yami no game even in defeat is not stretching the bounds of reality, in my opinion. So Joey advances to the finals, and Yami Marrick heads to the third place duel. Marrick's main motivator in the original subbed version was simple: kill the Pharaoh. I think there are quite a few different ways the Kaiba versus Yami Yugi duel could go in this scenario. I think Kaiba defeating Yugi fair and square is probably the hardest to justify. Let's say the duel plays out exactly how it does in the original, up until the end. Yami Yugi is about to complete his comeback, but before he activates Fusion Cancel on Kaiba's Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon attack call, we see Yami Marrick make his move. He goes after Taya, Tristan, Joey, and all of Yugi's friends that have reached the top of the tower to support him. Remember, in the original, Yami Marrick did nothing because he wanted the Pharaoh to win to advance to the finals so he could duel him. In this scenario, it would be completely different. He would have every reason in the world to get Yami Yugi to lose, otherwise his grand plans of killing him in a duel would be ruined. By taking his friends hostage using his power, Yami Marrick threatens to end them if Yami Yugi continues the duel. Yami Yugi shows a bit of growth here, as the last time someone was in a life or death situation versus Kaiba, Yami still went for the attack. This time, however, Yami Yugi allows the attack to come through. He knows his friends' lives are more valuable than winning the tournament, and the opportunity to stop Yami Marrick and put an end to this is also more important. The attack from Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon lands, ending the duel and giving Kaiba yet another tainted victory against Atem. The stage is now set for Joey versus Kaiba in the finals, and Yami Yugi versus Yami Marrick in the third place match. One thing I've been struggling with a lot in this what-if situation is the anti-rule. Battle City has an anti-rule that states the loser must give the winner the strongest card in their deck. Well, this would mean that Joey would gain the Winged Dragon of Ra, and Kaiba would take Yugi's Slifer. This means both duels would look very different, because Obelisk and Slifer played a big role in defeating Yami Marrick. Also, it would give Kaiba Slifer and Obelisk, while Joey gets a card that he comedically realizes he can't actually use because he doesn't know the chant. Classic Joey moment. Another fun thing about this hypothetical is we actually see both of these final duels play out. So in essence, we aren't really losing anything in terms of stakes per se. Obviously, Yugi wouldn't be winning the title of King of Games, but his duel against Marrick would still have massive stakes and implications. I would argue that the title of King of Games isn't even the most important thing in this matchup. Yugi is literally trying to defeat Yami Marrick and save Mai, and the countless others that Yami Marrick has put in harm's way, including Yugi himself. The big negative to this what-if is that the Egyptian gods would not be present at all because of the anti-rule, which is weird to think about this duel. That said, I think you could still have a really creepy and solid battle between these two. Yami Marrick is my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh villain ever, and I think his presence alone, along with the Yami no game, would still make this duel feel incredible, even without the Egyptian gods. Remember, if Yami Marrick wins, Yugi dies. Like Egyptian gods or not, that's still a pretty captivating storyline. Another issue we run into is that this duel can't end with Yami Marrick fusing with Ra, so here's what would happen instead. Yami Yugi defeats Yami Marrick with an attack from a Dark Magician Red Eyes fusion. No, not that one. In order to defeat Yami Marrick, symbolizing the bond between Yugi and Joey, as that ultimately breaks through and defeats the darkness of Marrick. After the duel is over, while Marrick is starting to win control of himself back, Yami Yugi walks across the field like a complete badass and delivers a classic mind crush to Yami Marrick. It's not as symbolic as Marrick banishing the darkness himself, but I think this is the next best possible thing that could work. A super weak Yami Marrick isn't able to fight off the power of the Pharaoh's mind crush, and Yami Marrick is banished for good, as regular Marrick comes back before collapsing entirely. It's similar to what happened to Kaiba after he got mind crushed in the beginning of the show, and let's be honest, it would be a really badass Yami Yugi moment. Next, we move on to the finals, the duel between Joey and Kaiba. I acknowledge this would be weird, a final arc duel that doesn't include the protagonist. It's something that we almost never see in Yu-Gi-Oh!, but I think this matchup could really work. You remove Yugi, and the two most iconic characters from Yu-Gi-Oh! Are easily Kaiba and Joey, so it's not like this duel lacks star power. You also have the unpredictability factor going in, because the main character, who always wins these duels, is not involved. As for what would happen, well, I think Joey would put up a really, really good fight. The card he won from Marrick is literally unusable for him, and Kaiba has Obelisk and Slifer, who are insanely OP in the anime. Remember, when Kaiba dueled Joey in the third place duel, Kaiba didn't have Obelisk, so giving Kaiba these two god cards just increases his power to a level that Joey unfortunately cannot reach. I think Joey does find a way to defeat Obelisk and Slifer, which would be an amazing moment for him, and a wonderful way to display his dueling prowess and how far he's grown as a duelist. However, Kaiba gets the win here with his iconic Blue Eyes White Dragon and wins the tournament. Kaiba puts his demons to rest, almost, because he knows deep down the only reason he defeated Yugi was because of Marrick's interference. This tainted win doesn't sit right with him, and as more and more time passes, Kaiba's thirst for true victory is still not satisfied. As Season 4 starts, Kaiba is actually the one holding the 3 Egyptian god cards, not Yugi. This wouldn't change too much, as Doma simply steals the cards from him instead, and Season 4 progresses with little change. However, what this alternate route sets up is one final clash between Yugi and Kaiba. Up until this point, we've seen nothing but tainted ends between these two outside of the Exodia duel. Kaiba threatened suicide to coerce Yugi into surrendering, and then Marrick forced Yugi to stop the duel, giving Kaiba an undeserved win. I think this rematch should take place right before Egypt and right after Darts is defeated. Kaiba and Atem have a true final battle to see who the king of games actually is, with everything that they have been through behind them. I think this duel would be absolutely incredible. In this scenario, Kaiba would still have the Egyptian god cards, as he never technically lost them and reclaimed them after Season 4. However, Kaiba only uses 2 of them since he is unable to use Ra. I think this duel could have some more foreshadowing to the impending danger that these two will be facing in the past. Kaiba, of course, denying any ties to the past. After some intense back and forth, Atem manages to overcome both of Kaiba's Egyptian god cards and defeats Kaiba once and for all. Kaiba, devastated, no longer has any doubts that he is currently the inferior duelist to the Pharaoh. In a surprising moment of sportsmanship, Kaiba relinquishes the Egyptian god cards to Atem, no longer feeling like he deserves them after the loss. A few days later, Yami Bakura approaches Kaiba, and that duel commences, as does Season 5, with little change. This allows us to keep the very famous and well-received ceremonial duel between Yugi and Atem at the very end of the show. This what-if scenario is interesting. It changes one of my favorite arcs pretty significantly, but it does give us the anticipation throughout Season 4 that we are going to get a true final duel between Atem and Kaiba, which we did not get in the actual show after Battle City. It also gives Joey a great moment where he almost wins the tournament, and he actually does defeat Marrick in this hypothetical, which I mean, he basically did in the original. It also gives us a rare, unpredictable Battle City finals between two characters that are not the protagonist. But what do you guys think of this what if? Is there anything you would have written differently? Do you think the finals of Battle City is perfect as is? Does the finals being Joey versus Kaiba instead of Marrick versus Yugi actually work? As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below, and please feel free to comment some other what-if scenarios you'd love to see me tackle. I think for the next what-ifs, I'll actually pick changes to duels or decisions that I thought weren't great, because altering one of my favorite arcs in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Was, well, not easy. I hope you all enjoyed regardless. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day.